I'll concede your point just for brevity. But
What? Brevity? We don't do that around here. It's probably
No.
Citrus, or what is a Capital One Bowl? It used to be Citrus Bowl, right?
oh my
Capital
God,
One.
dude, where have you been?
I just like the real name.
It hasn't been the Citrus Bowl since like what 2002?
What was your highlight side dish from Thanksgiving?
Oh gosh, Scotch.
This is the Buck Around, the podcast devoted to all things Wisconsin Badger football from a fan perspective. Featuring your hosts, Richard Branch and Maxwell Brusky.
And hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Buck Around. Welcome back to episode 349 of the Buck Around. I am one half of the Buck Around, Richard Branch, and I am joined by my... I didn't think about this one beforehand. We've been off a little while. I'm going to say contemplative colleague, Maxwell Brusky, based on your launch comments before we hit the record button. Your approach this year. You are not your ebullient self. You are going to be the quiet, contemplative, read the room guy.
Yes. I'm going there for intel purposes only.
Yeah, nobody talk to Max if you see him. That's what the rule is.
If you do, just be brief.
No, don't expect an answer. He's like, it's going to be nonverbal responses.
Yeah, right. Just be brief.
Yes.
We'll be locked in.
Yeah. So we are here.
Whoa. By the way, too, it's the spring showcase.
Oh, yeah. It's not the launch. That's right. Did I call it the
No,
launch?
I said the launch 3, but no, nobody ever said that. I was just joking around with that. No, it's the spring showcase.
Did I call it the launch? What did I just call it? Like
The
10
launch.
seconds ago. Did I? All
Yeah.
right. Well, it's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
relaunch. It might be
No.
might be the rocket falling back to Earth and exploding.
Yeah, I don't think they're ever going to live that one down. That was kind of a PR blunder.
Well, I mean,
it's not new Coke, but
I guess.
they're not going to live that down
Yeah.
because it's just so off the wall.
But it's stuck in my brain. I still call it the launch.
That's true too. Yeah,
Right.
but it doesn't have a good connotation.
No, not really anymore.
Oh,
Speaking of not good connotations,
yeah.
should we get to spring
Yeah.
practice
What
news?
did you? Let's tell the folks what you entitled this agenda, which was like always the tentative title for this episode.
I think we're going to go with it because I think it fits. The title of this episode is Good News Would Be Nice.
It would, wouldn't it?
Because if you are looking for good news surrounding the Badgers right now, that's
Not great, Bob.
Not great, Bob, indeed. So, yeah, let's get to it. We'll get to them piece by piece, sort of dealing with them in silos. Let's first deal with departures, right? Let's first start with the easy one. As you said, not one that you're really going crazy about, but we have our first known... Well, the first known departure of spring, I believe, was Derek Jensen. I don't think I'm missing anybody else. I guess Rob Booker medicaling, but that doesn't...
Yeah, it's different. Yeah,
That's
he's
different.
retiring from football.
Yeah, but Derek Jensen apparently was never with the team in spring, is planning on entering the portal tomorrow. It is Tuesday, April 15th. Happy Tax Day. So they're entering on the 16th. I guess, of the 5 guys that came in, he seemed like the guy that was sort of like lowest on the totem pole, right?
Yes, out of
And-
the younger guys, yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't really hear much about him.
right? I mean, it
Yeah.
was Heywood, Mandel, Corey, Cubberly, I think probably in that order, more or less. I mean,
Colin Cubberly, and then there's a Corey.
yeah, Ryan Corey.
Yeah, Ryan Corey. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought there was a Corey first name in there too, who's
No,
like
it's
a
the-
true freshman.
It's the, I think you're thinking of Cam Clark. Because I feel, you know what it is?
No.
I feel like Cam Clark and Ryan Corey both have sort of like offensive line. You know, the guy who, by the way, who should just be a 5-star recruit just on the name is Hardy Watts. Like that man just
Hardy Watts,
sounds
yeah.
like an offensive lineman from 1993 to me. I don't know. But
I'm down with that. The guy I'm thinking of is Corey Raymond, who's might not be an offensive lineman now that I think about it. Yeah.
So Where was I? Oh, so yeah, I mean, Jensen, I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, sort of my whole thinking on the offensive line, anyways, is you're going to lose two of these guys after 2 years. So this is just one of the
Right.
two. He was behind everybody else, writing on the wall, whatever it's going to be. I'll be curious. I think the story's always told in where they land, right?
I was just gonna say that, and kind of to go to a basketball thing with, there's a lot of crossover listeners, of course, but like with Xavier Amos was kind of surprising, at least in terms of being in the rotation, and he wound up at Loyola, Loyola Chicago, not Loyola in Baltimore or New Orleans, but Loyola Chicago. So it's obviously not a bad program necessarily, but definitely a step down from the Big Ten. So
Right.
I wonder if Jensen will be like a Northern Iowa type, or maybe a MAC guy, or Northern Illinois or something.
Yeah,
like
it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah.
But I guess the bigger one, I mean, that's really all there is to say about that.
Well, wait a minute though. Don't you feel like that's where, just based on what we've known about Jensen, which is not to say that much, but don't you think that's probably likely is to see him like that?
I think maybe somebody takes especially, well, given the uncertainty of how much of a glut there is going to be in the transfer market this year, potentially, but actually I did want to touch on that at some point. I think you're right. But you never know. I guess my thought is like, would it shock me if he ends up at Michigan State or something like that? It wouldn't shock me.
In Indiana.
Yeah, that type of thing. But we'll see.
Yeah.
But I think you're probably right. I think you're like directionally
That's the
correct.
vibe that I get for sure.
For sure. I mean, especially he just didn't make it to spring, which is like, interesting. But the bigger news, which is sort of officially official, I guess it's been more or less confirmed by the staff this morning after practice. Tanner Koziol is gone. He will be entering. It is anticipated that he is entering the transfer portal tomorrow.
Right.
How do we want to handle this? This is the bigger one. This one is intriguing, right? I mean, the guy was on the team for 3 months. So
and he was the top tight end, right, in the fall portal.
I don't think he was one. I think he was top 3. But he was up there.
Yeah, big offer sheet. And correct me on this if I'm wrong, but I don't think he's practiced for the last 2 weeks either.
No, he practiced early, and then I believe the last time he was seen at practice was maybe like April. I think before spring break.
April 3rd as well.
Yeah, I think it was April 3rd or April 5th.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I don't. Have you seen any kind of consensus on the speculation for what is going on just in the Twitterverse? I don't. I've seen some stuff about money, but that doesn't make sense to me because A, I don't think Wisconsin has a money problem. And B, it's not like he wouldn't have known that going in. And then C, he's been here for 3 months, so I don't know what kind of money that he would have taken, like the Xavier Lucas thing where he did take the money or it's kind of, I shouldn't say that. That's not, it's always been speculated that he did take the money and then transferred like 3 days later or something like that. But I don't know how much Koziol would have gotten, but or gotten relative to what he was promised. Yeah, obviously nobody knows how NIL works unless you're on the inside. There's no information on this. There's no, how payouts are done or anything like that. But the money seems to me not part of the issue here. Would you agree with that? And we can eliminate that.
I would eliminate that just because I like tight end is not going to be, it's a tight end coming from the MAC, right?
Right.
So yes, he's moving up and those guys can cash, but it's quarterbacks, corners.
Yeah.
This isn't the money position nowadays, like the way you've seen it set in the market. So I don't see it as something that they didn't have a handle on.
No. And I also think, and I don't know, probably people think I'm nuts, but I also don't think Wisconsin has a money problem.
I mean, I think relative to their peer, like where they are in the pecking order, no. Like I don't think that they have the money of some programs, but they don't have an issue being a top 25 program. No, definitely not. And I mean, I'll speculate too, because I think they do have some of the money that's there. They just don't have crazy people that are willing to spend it on this. Mm-hmm.
like we talked about before. Anyway,
So put
there's
that
not a
one to
money
bed.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
I'm with you. But
Okay.
I think it's more like, you know what? Here's where I'm willing to go, because this is lame if I'm just sitting here dancing around. That's stupid. The thing I am more interested in is what does it mean going forward? Because you're now left with a tight end room that is, I guess, Tucker Ashcraft as your primary guy, who hasn't shown that he's the best blocker. I mean, when he was a true freshman and just getting thrown out there, you can put that away. But even still, last year, you're like, he's progressing. But you gotta hope he's going to make more progress this year if they're going to run the offense they want. But then it's what happens after that, and I feel like what this means going forward is like Grant Steck is a guy you got to be watching in spring, because we know what JT Seagraves is. We know what Jackson Aker is. Jackson Aker is not an inline tight end, and they can't use him that way. He's just not built that way.
The best you get is an H guy.
Yeah. I mean, he's the H guy. He's, the not a fullback, all that stuff. You know where his role is. But Jackson McGohan has had opportunities, and, we haven't seen him percolate up. So I'm getting to the point where I'm like,
No, and he's a name too that I don't think anybody's really heard much of this spring.
Yeah. And you've got a freshman not coming into the fall, and then you got Emmett Bork there. So like, I can't look at those guys. So it just ends up at, for me, all right, they need Grant Stack. They need him to be that second tight end who can do a few things for them, because right now they don't have it. Now, on the flip side, in terms of production, I mean, if you want to sell yourself on a positive, which I'm not trying to do, I do think a guy who's getting 94 catches and averaging less than 9 yards of reception is interesting. I'm not saying to write him off because of that, but Koziol had the strangest stat line.
He did. Yeah, he did.
So,
I know you watched a lot of Billy Edwards and Danny O'Neill from last year.
Yeah.
I don't know that you did that for Koziol.
No, I didn't.
So I don't know what Ball State's offense was like, but yeah, 94 catches and an average of 9 yards it's interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know what it means in terms of production. I guess it's going to be a red zone issue that they have to figure out. But does not having him radically change what they do on offense? And then on top of it, does that mean they're going to go out and try to get another tight end body? And I don't know that they're gonna. I don't know what they're gonna do there. I'm just gonna be curious to see. I think the story they're gonna tell us in the portal is what they think of Grant Stack. Because again, JT Seagraves can block, but he's not going to be much of a threat in the receiving game. Jackson McGohan's strengths are on the receiving side, not on the blocking side. And again, Akers the H, so you're left with, help me, Grant Stack, you're my only hope, right? I mean, that's where it is. There's your not good news right there. First one.
I don't know. On the first point you were talking about, we went from talking about play, and there's clearly a reason why he felt like he needed to go, and this wasn't going to work for him.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if that means that your odd stat line has a bearing to what they're doing. But it kind of seems like it did.
Maybe.
Because there's a reason he's leaving.
Well, it was interesting before, because when he was asked, previously, I mean, there's really 2 times Fickle's been asked about Koziol. Was earlier, and he said Koziol's gotten banged up, and I'm not really sure what's going on there.
Yeah.
Which I thought was an intriguing comment as well. So, yeah, we'll see.
I don't know. I also, now, you said too, if they go and grab somebody in the portal, that it'll shed some light on what they think they have in Steck.
Yeah.
He's still young.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean, a guy, is he ready to play this year? That's what I mean.
Yeah. And I don't think that's not in the long-term plans kind of thing, but I don't know. Cause I saw right away, and actually I didn't see this through Badger Twitter. This was just kind of like, 24/7 transfer portal or on-3 transfer portal, whatever. There's that guy from Cal who's like a 2-year player and looks like he's got the body. I don't know, because I think there should be players like that out there that have more experience and a little bit more proof on the field, or evidence on the field, I should say, not proof, but
Right.
you know what I mean? So I wouldn't be surprised, because the other part of that is just the overall numbers.
Mm-hmm.
God forbid something happens to Ashcraft, Seagraves, or Steck, and I think you're in a real pickle. So I think it's really numbers too. There's no depth there at all.
Well, there's numbers on a lot
Or
of
I
levels.
shouldn't say no depth. It's very thin.
Yeah. Or the depth you have is you kind of like, you know what JTC Graves is. You're starting to form an opinion of what McGohan is. I feel like you can have a baseline of what Tucker Ashcraft... Can he progress? Yes, but I think you have a pretty decent baseline of, okay, I know what Tucker Ashcraft is.
Sure.
But the other side of that numbers problem is going back to my things I was watching in spring. We still don't know how big the roster is going to be, because we've been working off the 105 assumption, right?
Yeah.
Which they're at 113 right now, if you assume Jensen and Koziol. But as of right now, there's talk of some kind of grandfathering. So we all get another effectively COVID year roster management nightmare that's going to stick with us.
Well,
so that's in the flux too. So maybe they can bring somebody in, but I think what I'm trying to get at is maybe they don't know right now what they can do. But to your point, I think the thing we have to keep in mind, and Fickle has been pretty explicit about this in the spring, he has been playing his ones on both sides of the ball way more this spring than he has in the past. And even as he said, going into spring, I expected to build depth, but no, this is get the ones ready. He has an urgency. He knows it. This is the year. Like, make a break.
Yeah,
so,
it has to be. Right. Yeah, sure.
Again, Grant Steck, not saying that he can't be a player, but can he be a 35 snap guy in 2025? And that's the lens they're looking at him through right now. And it's, if he's not, then they get a body.
I just think even if they do have him that way, again, God forbid when something happens to one of those top three guys.
Well, then it's Seagraves, and I mean, Seagraves is a fine depth piece. You just know what he is. I mean, once you're getting to like a fourth and a fifth tight end, I mean, I don't know what you can realistically expect.
Well, as we're talking about this, I keep thinking about, like, man, so gone are the days of the Brock DeChicos and the Sandra Nevilles and all those guys that were like fourth, fifth, and sixth tight ends, but would get on the field every now and again.
Yeah.
Like, there is so much depth there at one point.
I mean, but do you think Brock DeChico is that much better than JT Seagraves?
Oh, no. That's what I'm saying. But there was just a multitude of them.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so enough bad news there.
Well, I will say this though. I do want to sum it up. It is obviously one of the main things I'm going to be watching on Saturday is to kind of see who's doing what. Yeah.
All right. Actually, that's a good thing. Save those. Yeah. Let's talk about those at the end, because will then. Because next week, a little spoiler, we are going to record Monday after you go to lunch. I think it's just going to be me asking you questions, Max. It's going to be great. You get to do all the work.
I'm good with that, and I will be prepared for that. Yeah, I'll be prepared for that. Just, you got to stop calling it the launch, unless you really want to.
Did I just call it the launch again?
You did.
So what are we calling it? The Spring Showcase?
Spring Showcase.
Spring Showcase sounds like a wedding, like Galleria thing.
It's not as dippy as the launch, but it still seems
I really called it the launch again.
You did. It is catchy.
Oh, jeez. All right, so let's go to injuries. Again, let's work in an escalatory fashion. This one is more just bummer.
Yes.
Thomas Heiberger out for spring. Sounds like he'll be back for the fall, which is good, but is a guy that I've been kind of eager to see, partially because our favorite position coach came on the show and spoke pretty glowingly of him. And they moved him to inside linebacker, which I don't know what to make at this point, except for that outside room was pretty crowded. But yeah, out for spring. And I feel like, man, that sucks, right? For the second year player, totally. It's a guy like you feel like you want to see on the field. I mean, I guess he can play enough in the fall. Maybe they can use him on special teams because he's a guy I think they want to play.
If he's healthy.
But doesn't do anything near term to me depth-wise. Doesn't really, it's not crushing to them because he's behind a bunch of other bodies. But
agreed, but there's been excitement about him 2 years in a row now.
Yeah. And now it's gone. But let's deal with do you have anything else? I mean, let's just go to the big one, right?
No.
Okay. So made it official.
Okay. Oh boy.
Let's just take our medicine. Kevin Heywood, ACL tear, out for the season. Yeah.
That's brutal.
It's brutal. I mean,
That's brutal.
I don't.
There's no other way around it. That
Yeah.
is brutal.
I don't think you can understate it enough just because, and we've said it before, I was looking back. I mean, the man played 5 games from scrimmage as a true freshman left tackle, played every game as the on the extra point and field goal units, which again, whatever, that's just special teams and blah, blah, blah. But true freshmen don't do that. So
No.
they were preparing him to play this year. They needed him to play this year. It was quite clear that he was going to be the starting left tackle. There was no question there before spring, ball even started. I mean, I think we knew that last October. So
Yeah.
This one
You
is a
could
tough loss.
that wasn't a pencil in, that was a pen.
yeah, I mean, there was little question there. So I guess it just becomes, to me, how do they shuffle? What does it mean?
Well, I want to get this out of the way too, because the other thing that kind of hit me about this is it's not just for this year. It's the way things are now. It's not I'm out for a year, but I'll be back. You know what I mean? You just don't know.
Yeah.
Just the way things are now. I don't, know anything about Kevin Heywood in that regard, or how that could work. But that'd be something that kind of adds like an additional layer to season-ending injuries nowadays. I feel like I might be paranoid about that, but
the only pushback I'd have is that his appeal is lower than it was 3 months ago to teams.
True enough.
People knew
Yeah.
who he was.
True
If he was gone, I think there was a greater chance. I mean, he was a starter. I mean, he's going to come back probably to pencil in starter for next year because they're going to be replacing Riley Mallman and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. I get the paranoia. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know if it's warranted, I guess is my thought.
Sure.
My bigger question is Leighton Nelson has been, I guess, the swing tackle. I mean, these are Blazek's own words, the swing tackle through spring. So my assumption that means he's the third best tackle in their mind. They got him out of the guard race inside. I guess they feel like they had enough going on there with 4 guys for 2 spots, or really Brunner, 3 guys for 1, I think is the reality. So I guess it's Leighton Nelson, but I think it really does, and where it gets really tricky is what happens behind those two is it's rough because I don't know who's going to be your swing tackle now. That's where I think it gets tricky. Is it going to be like is it Joe Brunner pops out and you backfill?
It seems
on
like
the
that's
interior?
probably how they would do it, just because they have that 3-for-1 situation at the left. It's the left guard, yeah.
Right guard. So Brunner's left,
Right guard.
and it's right
Yeah.
guard. So it's Benchwall, Kadenko, and Emerson Mandel, right? Which
Yeah.
sounds like a good problem to have when you have a 5th-year senior, 2 5th-year seniors, and then a redshirt freshman sort of pushing behind him that they're more or less saying he's got the tools, he's ready to go. If it's not this year, it's next. So that's nice. But the tackle is the question, right? Because Kadenko doesn't have the length. I don't know if you'd trust Benchwall.
No, and Kadenko's always been at like the swing, like he's the backup center.
Yeah.
Or has been with the 1. So yeah, he's interior swing guy.
And my assumption is he's still the backup center, even though in spring Corey's taken the 2s.
Yeah, I would think so too.
I think it's going to be more like that. So I feel like you kind of know what the rotation was going to be. Like you had the 8, right? Because it was going to be, you're starting 5. Let's say it's Benchwall, and then it was going to be Nelson, Kadenko, and as your backups, and maybe Mandel. Like gave you an 8, right? So now it hurts, and I think honestly I guess if you want to put like a positive spin on it, Billy Edwards is used to running for his life, so there's that.
That's true.
Like I watched him run for his life,
Right.
so if he's like, oh, it's just one of them, that's fine. The other 4 can block though. Oh, this is a walk in the park.
That's terrible, but I guess that is kind of a bright side thing, and
Yeah.
he's used to doing it, and I think he's a fairly decent improviser.
Blindside. Pah.
Oh gosh.
So-
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that.
There's that, if you want a positive to it. But it does stink. And, it makes you wonder development, and because you feel like they had a hit. This team needed a hit. hit.
And he feels like he was the biggest one of the quote new guys,
and it didn't happen,
or quote Fickles guys, I should say.
But it does just feel like yet another, like it just, they don't catch a break. Right?
No, they don't.
And
I was going to say kicking the balls, I think, is what you're looking for.
It's just like, man, it's tough. It just, there's nothing good. But I'll go to, I don't have anything else to add to it. Let me go to my, I don't know what to make of it. Go a little out of order here because we'll end on positive. Let's end.
I like it. I'm good with that.
When we're talking spring practice, where are you on the Charles Perkins seems to be the best, 3-tech defensive lineman? I mean, I guess he's ahead of Barton, it seems like. Kinda.
It does.
Maybe.
You know what? Hey man, if it works, it works. And if it's somebody who can come in from Tennessee Tech and step up and be the man, that it's good. Good to me. Yeah. I'll tell you, it's hard to say, obviously, until you see him play. But if they feel like they got something, and he's the guy who has the most aggression and disruptiveness as a 3 technique, dude. Hey, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you knew there was some like star that he had to displace or something like that before,
No, it's for me, again, it's the Dylan Johnson barometer, right? And
sure, yeah.
So he's ahead of him. So that's good, I think. The thing I'm also trying to interpret is all this talk. Is it he is their best pass rush option? And you're going to see, say like Ben Barton and Suggs and Lane as more as the run cloggy guys. And then Perkins is a little bit more of when they need a twitchier guy. Because that's the way they described him. Tressel did.
Disruptor.
He's more twitchy than I expected him to be. And so that's what it's like. Is this really like a guy who's playing 50 snaps, or is this more, again, more like Elijah Hill's first half of the season, where it's okay, that's just the twitchiest defensive lineman they have, and until they're comfortable with him in more of the run sets, he's not going to play as much. Like that's where I'm trying to figure out what it is with Charles Perkins. That's your job at the not launch on Saturday at the spring showcase. D-Max, I can handle branding. I can do
interior lineman rotation.
Yeah, and what are the skill sets?
For sure.
Because I don't know what to make of him. I think it's a good thing, but I'm not like willing to say it is. So again, we're trending upwards here a little bit in my mind. And we can finish, unless you have any other thoughts on him, on my last two, which are positive. Like if you want some good news, like if you're searching for good news, if you need something to pep you up that's not like Atticus Bertram's hang time is improving. Like I think I was looking rereading practice reports, and I'm like, I will not take that, Max.
I'll take that.
No.
If Bertram's has he can go from good to great, I'm good with that.
No, I don't. That's not going to
like
change
your
the
top
season.
5 of the spring, but
yes, like I'm not hanging my hat on that. Matt Mitchell did say in his availability last week, I think it was, he expects Nick Clayton to play some role in pass rush, which I think is okay. I mean, hopefully he doesn't pull a Thomas Heiberger, but that Nick Clayton is sort of sniffing around. Like it sounds like he's going to pass Ernest Willer, like he has more or less already, and they are going to find a role for him because he's put on some pounds. Like I'm intrigued. Like maybe there's a guy who's going to give him something down the line. So huzzah. Like, I mean, he's going to be a 4th or 5th guy down there. I mean, he's going to be behind, I guess, Corey Walker and Michael Garner, Peterson and Witt and Cheeks.
I gotta be honest with you. I don't think I've heard his name at all through spring, and I definitely did not see the Mitchell availability that you are referencing. So when I saw this on the agenda, I have to confess, I was like, which dude is that again? So I feel terrible. I didn't, I saw it this morning and I didn't get a chance to go kind of refresh my recollection, which is kind of a bad way to put it because I have no recollection to refresh.
Kind of he's just a long edge guy, right?
What's his body style?
He's a 6'6"-ish, 6'5", big long guy.
And where did he come from again?
Florida.
Oh, okay. It's not UF.
No. He's a freshman.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's why I'm not thinking of him.
He's from Gainesville, interestingly enough.
So kind of like UF.
Yeah. Almost exactly. But he's an interesting, like he's 6'5", 215 coming
That's
out of high school,
interesting.
but he's put on
So I think
pounds.
if he's a true freshman in for spring, yeah, I would take that absolutely as a
Yeah.
positive.
I mean, like, now we're talking positive in that he's a guy that maybe will play 7 snaps from scrimmage,
Sure.
but I'll take it. And he's going to have a role on special teams, which is,
Dude,
I'll take it.
Give me Manasseh Garner pass rush, man.
Well, he's got a few more
David Gilbert as a true freshman.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what you're thinking.
I'm good with that.
But so again, I don't know. I'm hunting for positives, but I'm going to give you one real positive. And like, this is
Yes.
one I am.
I think we did save the best for last.
Yes. So like,
Yeah.
this was one of my things for spring, which is I'm like, they need a break and they're due. The fact that Dylan Jones is now like looking like he's the number 1 running back, and he and Dupree are sort of like a 1-2 punch
Right.
of, traditional running back, pick whatever name you want, and then sort of like a Curtis Samuel-y type
Mhm.
daring, like that's a win. Like that to me, if that's really where this is going and he stays healthy, and because you and I said it actually when he played against, who did he play against? Purdue?
It was Purdue, yeah.
And we said, oh, like,
He ripped off. I guess
He
he
looked
ripped off like a
nice.
45-yard or something like that.
well, he also
yeah.
had a cut. Like he has a cut. He looks like a running,
Mhm.
like he's a very different running back than Dupree in that he's a much more traditional looking running back with that sort of cut and go and boom. And it's like, hey, if he can establish himself and they have a 1-2 there, it will make the whole offense better. Left tackle or not, they'll just
Yeah.
run the other way.
Yeah.
So yes, I'll take it. Like that one is a legitimate, like, hey, if you want some good news, that's your good news. Like to me, that's the good news.
I think it's good news just overall because that room really seems to. I think that might be fun this year. I'll be interested to see what they do with Giacomelli.
Right.
After he really kind of disappeared the last 5 games.
Yeah.
Not for any reason. I don't know why, but he really did. You kind of never saw him after the Northwestern game when I think he had 2 touchdowns. And I'm not saying they screwed that up. I'm not saying that at all.
Right.
But he's still there and he's getting reps. And then I think the other part of it too is that, have you seen what Gideon Atuka looks like?
Big boy.
Well, he just looks really in shape.
Yes.
He's like the other guy like that is Finney Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
You see what that dude's arms look like?
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna have to bring the BSAPM back, I mean, or
Rusky
BSAPM,
scale of
but
arm
strength measurement.
It was BSAPM. Oh my gosh, somebody tell us what it was.
Yeah.
It's been so long.
It is, yeah. But like Vinny Anthony's registering on that. And Atuka is too. Like Atuka, remember I think we had a rating for like Taiwan Deal where his arms started to look like that. Where you weren't like the I forgot it was a 1 or a 5 was the best, but like it wasn't senior year Corey Clement.
Was it Brusky scale of arm power measurement?
Yes, I think that,
BSAPM?
yes. Yeah, BSAPM. There you go. You got it. That was quick. This is nice research.
No, I'm typing. I'm trying to like, it's got to look right. Let me type
you
it
look
out.
like
and
the
then
cat
it'll-
in the meme right now.
Yes, that's what I was doing. I'm like, God, I can't remember that because that's from like 2016. But yeah,
Oh, 2015, because I
Yeah.
think it was Clement and Taiwan Deal.
I think it was.
Yeah. Anyway,
BSAPM.
but like Atuka's measuring on that. And it's really kind of like, whoa, I think. And I wonder if it's something like, why am I blanking on the string? Brady Collins is like, yeah, that's some of my best work right there. Kind of looks like that. And Atuka's got a little bit of run too. And I think he ripped off a 75-yarder with some speed that people didn't really know what they had. So I think with Dylan Jones looking like he can be like, the closest thing to a lead back, because I agree with you. I think that'll be like a 1A, 1B
Mm-hmm.
with Dupree, and Dupree's going to be a little bit more dynamic and I think be more of an X factor. Yeah, Curtis Samuel is a good way to put it. If only he could be Percy Harvin, but but if they've got 4 guys that you gotta account for, I guess, or
Right.
can do some stuff with the ball and a top 2 with those guys, I think that's a tremendous positive.
Yes, I would agree. I mean, if they could, look, if they hit the way it looks like it, if they hit 2 out of 3 on these running backs, I'm not even counting Atuka. Like Atuka is a bonus.
I know. Yeah,
Nicely done. Yeah. I'll take it. So yeah, that is legitimately something I think you can be positive about.
Yeah.
All right.
No,
so
I agree.
leaving camp, you wanted to talk about Ryan Hopkins, the quarterback commit.
Well, I just think it's fascinating because you're looking at it's like the 29th best in the country.
Okay.
Well, there was a time 5 years ago when you'd be throwing a party. It would be the Graham Mertz hype train. Like, what was Mertz? Like top 20?
Yeah, ish. Yeah.
This dude's from Mater Dei, or at least 1 year there.
Well, no, he's transferring to
He's
Mater
transferring to it, fine, and it's like, oh wow, okay, they got okay. And I don't know if it's because they didn't talk about him and everybody's been into McWhirter or Burgess or those guys, and the commitment really, you read the story that it kind of came out of the blue. But the dude was a visitor at the Penn State game, and he probably talked. Wasn't Carter Smith at the Penn State game too? I feel like
maybe, I don't know.
Penn State or the Oregon one, but and so these are the two quarterbacks, and Carter Smith's has looked pretty good too. At least, they're a true freshman.
Yes.
But Carter Smith is a pretty highly ranked player.
Mm-hmm.
And, you went from a quarterback room that was completely bereft with, I'm sorry, Braden Locke he's going to be a nobody in college football.
Yeah, he's a backup.
And
he knows.
But I mean, those were the guys, and I know they had injury luck and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But now this guy is the next one in the pipeline, seemingly. And I don't know, a lot can happen between now and, the fall of 2026, but it just seems kind of weird to me that you're getting a quarterback like that's so highly rated. The dude is like, it's not Scott Tolzien.
Agreed.
It's not Dustin Shearer.
Right.
And you're getting like a in his high school recruitment, like Mertz or Bart Houston, and that's 2 in a row now, and it's just kind of like ho hum. Let's just see what they look like against the schedule in the fall and blah, blah, blah. Whereas, there was a time when that was a hype train. Okay. And I don't know if everybody's just seen too much Nick Evers and Tanner Mordecai injuries notwithstanding, and this excuse my language, dumbass Longo offense and, his quarterback recruiting magic, Mark Black magic, I guess. But it just seems like something that would be in another time would be a lot more celebrated, and it would be a major victory. And I think it just shows like what the trust level is right now for the current coaching staff.
Well, there's that, but there's also one more part. This guy Hopkins has an amazing quote. And I'll actually read to you from the 24/7 story.
Yeah, I read it before we started, so I want to see which one you're picking.
Yes, while he's 100% committed, Hopkins, who is in his first season at Powerhouse Mater Dei High School, can't fully close the door on his recruitment just yet. Ohio State and others have been sniffing around this spring. Quote, "I would say my recruitment is still open as of now," he said. "Just going into spring ball, especially at my new school, there's going to be a lot of attention. We'll see going into spring ball, and then we'll see what happens."
Okay. So
I love it. I'm totally committed, but I'm totally open.
Yeah, but if the Buckeyes throw him a bunch of money, because they have people that do that.
It's not money, Max. It's the money thing is a simple answer. It's if he gets an offer from a program that he views as a better option, he's going to go. Mm-hmm. I don't know that it's a money thing. Like it's the eternal recruiting pecking order inertia that exists.
And I get that. I get that. I mean, I don't know. It's a different time, I guess, but it's not like Mertz did that.
Honestly.
And Mertz got all those offers too. I mean, it's a different time, but.
And honestly, like, I think in some ways, I mean, look, he's being open and honest. I think it's funny that he thought it was smart to say that.
Why commit then?
But because he wants a spot. This gets him a spot. So this is like getting into your safety school when you apply to college.
Now I like it. Now we're breaking it down. I like it.
He got into his safety school. So now he's hoping for that. He applied early to Ohio State, and he's got, what is it? Early action. They call it these days.
Yes.
And if he gets in, he's gone. Right. So I think in some ways, part of the reaction is of the people who pay attention to the stuff, and they saw that and they're like, this puts the Badgers almost in a worse spot than not having a quarterback, because now you had all these other guys who you sort of have to push off and who were looking to come back.
Well, for Wisconsin's part, though, I don't think they've given any indication of that other than telling him you're our guy. But
yeah, but they can't take a commitment from anybody. So what are those guys? What are they all going to do? Right? They got to go find a place to be because they can't wait on this guy. So you're going to then see people get settled in elsewhere. And then if he decides in
Sure.
3 months, I'm changing my mind, I think you're in a rough spot.
All right, fine. But true. And I get maybe that's probably the most sound explanation for the lack of any hype around it. But even still, it would have been a bigger deal years ago. And I don't know. I just find the whole thing fascinating.
Okay, let's do this. I'm realizing we have this listener question, but let's keep it because I think it's actually better to ask after you go to the not launch because you might see some of this
Agreed. Oh,
interaction
yeah,
in
for
action.
Sure.
So Sean from Madison via Patreon, which by the way, now we get text messages from people because I guess they didn't realize they could text us. Text us at 34777 Bucky. But you can also
call text option.
Yes, and now we're getting people messaging us through the Patreon, so you can do that too. But that seems like a lot of work. So you can just email the show, buckaroundpodcast@gmail.com. Let's wrap it. 350 will be a nice round number to talk about the spring showcase next Monday. Then we'll take a week, and then we'll kind of get into some. Well, I guess we'll kind of know what the roster makeup is.
We'll have the roster makeup, and we'll be headed into like very full off season.
Yes,
it's the real off season.
It will be time for some depth charts.
Yes.
So we'll see what the team looks like then. All right. So on that note, Max, until the next time.
Until the next time, indeed.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Enjoy the conversation? Head on over to buckaroundpodcast.com to find all the ways to connect with the show, links to our Patreon page, and feeds for every major podcasting platform. We want to thank each and every one of our patrons. You make this podcast possible. This has been The Buck Around, Badger football analysis from a fan perspective.